going to Kansas City. If I come, I come, I come, I come. I'm going to Kansas City.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Chopping It Up with the Cleavers. My name is Emmanuel Cleaver III.
And I'm Emil Cleaver.
Check us out most places you get your podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chopping It Up with the Cleavers.
Hit that subscribe button. We need more subscribers.
Hit it. All right, so the news that is dominating the media right now is, of course, the war, Israel and Hamas. And I saw someone today, a representative of the IDF, Israeli Defense Force, saying that the Israeli military is the most ethical. They've not committed.
Most unethical.
No. He said they were the most ethical military in the world.
Who said that?
A representative of the IDF.
Oh my goodness.
I know, he was on CNN. I don't know his name because I don't care to choose to learn his name. But he was talking about how they've done everything as they're supposed to. And he said nobody's looking out for the Palestinians except Israel.
Yeah, I did hear that. I didn't hear that part that said that they were the most ethically, but it wasn't him. It was actually someone else in an interview. It was the MMA fighter who was a military guy. He was on Joe Rogan's show, Joel Romero Stoolgate. But anyway, he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he said that no one has looked out for the Palestinian people like the Israel government, that they have looked out for the Palestinians more than any other group of people, because other Muslim countries won't help them, according to him, because of Hamas. They don't want to be involved with Hamas. So the only aid, the only help that they're getting is from the Israel government.
Well, we know that's true because even the United States has, sent money. Lots of countries. But did he say how they were helping the Palestinians? That would be my question. How? Because as of a few days ago, over 11,000 Palestinians have been killed, 4,700 children.
Tim Kennedy. Remember him? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I saw part of his his interview. Tim Kennedy. He was a Strike Force champion. But I don't see how they could even say that when 11,000 people have been killed. I think maybe it might be over 1 million people have had to flee. But that's the thing about it. If the IDF is the one pushing the narrative, then of course it's all going to come out good for them. Here's the other thing about the war. Joe Biden's approval rating is going down because of that. That's one of the reasons. I think that's a big part.
And I think that's the reason he's not going to win.
Okay. But here's I think you're right. But here's the thing about it. It doesn't matter who you vote for in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. They're all extremely pro-Israel and will support Israel regardless of what it does. So the fact that many people are going to vote for another Democrat or vote for some Republican because of Joe Biden's handling of the war, you're actually just going to get the same thing. So that doesn't make sense. I mean, that's my thought.
I'm still trying to figure out why the Western media has not publicized the war atrocities as much, the war crimes that the UN says are going on.
Are you really trying to figure out why they haven't?
Yeah. I mean, we need fair, the media in America, we've talked about it before, they're a joke, they're not fair. If you listen to one station, they're going to be leaning toward the Democratic Party. If you watch another station, they're going to be leaning toward the Republican Party. So there's no fair and balanced coverage in the news these days. But
and that's because the United States has more of a vested interest in Israel. That's why, I mean, there's no vested interest for the United States in Palestine. I mean, what can they get from Palestine? Nothing.
Yeah, well.
So that's why.
I'll say it again. The United States needs to put more vested interest in their own country, because we have military here, military there, people all over the country.
80 countries
80 countries.
Don't quote me on that, but it's something ridiculous like that we have military bases. You know who has what countries have military bases in the United States? None. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You think the United States is going to let some country have a military base here?
Well, I mean, they do supply other militaries.
Oh, yeah, they do that, but they're not going to have somebody else's military.
I was reading a report at one time. They gave Hamas the weapons that they're using, just like they did. What was that? ISIS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we
Al
funded.
Qaeda.
Let's be real. We have funded military terrorist groups before. This is not. I mean, it's nothing new. I mean, when the whole thing in Nicaragua, when Ronald Reagan was pushing drugs and the CIA pushing drugs into the black community, and then declaring a war, that was them funding rebels because they wanted a different government. So the problem, as we said, is always, because the United States is always interfering and involving, then we have to. Now we have too many enemies. And the only thing that is going to happen, not the only thing, but one of the big things that's going to happen as a result of all this bombing in Palestine and the U.S. supporting it, it's just going to create more terrorist organizations. That's it.
Yeah.
We learned that in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
We already know that's the case, but
it's hard to get rid of them. I mean, because the more we help, the more hatred that we gain across the world. There are a lot of countries that hate Americans, and that list is going to keep growing as long as we keep meddling in business that isn't ours.
750 bases around the world, 80 countries.
80 country people.
That's
80 country.
And then people, of course, other countries call us fascists. And people in the United States have the audacity to call other countries fascists, other governments fascists, when we are always involved in somebody else's business. But that's the big news. And of course, no, even News Nation, which I thought was pretty in the middle, even their reporting of the war is slanted toward in favor of Israel. And even your boy, who used to be on CNN, who liked to fight, who would fight somebody if he needed to. Yeah, Chris Cuomo had this former Hamas person on his show, and it seemed so staged because this former Hamas person was on Chris Cuomo's show saying Palestinians are dying because of Hamas, not Israel, because Hamas is using them as shields. And here's what I have to say to everybody who says that it's Hamas's fault because they're using Palestinians as shields. If you and I have beef and I decide to throw some rocks at you and you pick up someone to shield you and I still throw rocks and hit that person that you're using to shield you, am I to blame or is it just all on you?
Yeah, both to blame.
Come on, man. I have a role. I can stop throwing the rocks.
Yeah, Israel has one of the most powerful militaries in the world. So, I mean, they at least don't need to commit war crimes. I mean, those were put in place for a reason, and when you have civilized countries still committing, and then a lot of people are saying, well, America commits a lot of war crimes.
Yeah.
That we bomb hospitals and safe havens for people in other countries. I mean, and there's pretty strong evidence that we do that. So, we can't take the moral high ground with any country. I don't believe.
No. So it's the World Health Organization, Amnesty International, United Nations have all said that there are possible war crimes that need to be investigated. Possible war crimes being taking place. United States, at least the president has been silent on it. And it seems like, I'm sure there's got to be some media outlets that are sharing these things.
I don't even know if the black media outlets, not the major ones, the smaller podcasts, of course, they're talking about it, but I don't know if the NAACP has come out yet and said anything. SCLC, Urban League.
All right.
I don't know.
Not saying they haven't. We don't know. I haven't heard. It hasn't been a strong statement. If they have.
If they have, it hasn't been very strong. It hasn't been very loud. But I would bet almost all the money in my account that the NAACP will not say anything about the war or about the mistreatment of Palestinians.
Yeah, I was going to say they put out a statement saying at the very beginning saying they condemn the attacks of Hamas, but I've not seen anything from them since.
And you won't. I mean,
let's be real.
Yeah. We know who runs them, so
So they're not going to say anything, but we're going to keep bringing it up because Palestinians are being killed, bombing the biggest hospital, and then depends on who you ask. They said it was a military hideout for Hamas.
Yeah.
But you ask some of the Palestinians. I was watching an interview. I forgot. I think it might have been the BBC.
And they're not fair either.
Well, yeah, of course. Come on, man. It's the BBC. Come on. But they were interviewing a doctor at the hospital, said he didn't see any weapons.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a doctor. Maybe he wasn't focused on that because he's too busy dealing with the people who have been already affected by the bombing and killings of the IDF. But personally, I can't believe anything that the Israeli government is going to say about this war because it's always going to be in favor of Israel, which, they're supposed to do, I guess.
We'll find out at the end of the war what all happened. There'll be a lot of reports at the end, but...
Will we really? We still don't know who killed Kennedy, so will we really?
Well, his nephew is on doing a media tour talking about all the people that were involved with him, but you can't believe everything he says. He's the biggest conspiracy theorist in the world, but that's America. America hiding its involvement with Kennedy. With Israel, I think we're going to find out. With this war, we'll find out. We'll find out. May not be anytime soon.
The international humanitarian organizations.
Yeah, we'll find out one day, maybe 40 years from now, in a documentary. But the truth will come out.
It'll be somebody, and they'll try to squash the documentary because of the truth. But meanwhile, while all this is going on, so we're talking about money, what's going on with the Israel war and Palestinians being killed mercilessly. Of course, we condemn what Hamas did, but we can't stop there. We can't just say Hamas did wrong, so gives them permission to do whatever they want. They've handled it wrong, period. But what's also happening that I've not heard on any news station, and that is the civil war that's going on in Sudan that started earlier this year. And although the U.S. has supplied aid in terms of humanitarian aid, there's not much involvement. And I don't know why the Western media is not talking about it. Over 5 million people have had to flee Sudan. That was in October. Over 5 million people have had to flee. Tens of thousands of people have lost their life. The United Nations says it's the fastest growing displacement crisis in the world. Yet have you seen it? I've not seen it.
No, there may have been one or two small mentions of it, but it's not
at all.
The Western world, the Western media isn't going to advertise it, isn't going to talk about it because of the skin color of the Sudanese.
That's what it all boils down to?
Yes, it's straight up. You are not going to hear about this war because the Sudanese are black. They are real black. They are very dark black. And American media does not give a damn. The American media doesn't give a damn if a little brown girl goes missing. A little white girl goes missing and the whole world will stop. But a brown girl in America goes missing and there's no mention. So, of course, some black people fighting in Sudan is not gonna cause the Western world to raise any eyebrows.
They'll send some money for those in aid, but they're not. I haven't heard of any diplomatic efforts.
Yeah, or anybody saying, let's pray for Sudan. Prayers for Sudan, like all over social media. Like you hear for Israel and Hamas and Palestine, prayers. But you don't hear any prayers for these Africans.
Ukraine.
Yeah, Ukraine. But they're not black in Ukraine.
Yeah, and the Western world must have gotten all of the resources out of Sudan because otherwise they would be involved.
Yeah, we got everything. The colonization took place, and everything that they needed was extracted. So
It is crazy that I've not heard. I've seen it online, and even then I have to search. But in terms of
it's not a lot on it. It's not a lot that I
really
found. I did research and can't find a whole lot on this.
It's because everything's about Ukraine and Israel, Hamas. But we do need to keep the Sudanese people, all those who have 5 million.
Keep them in our prayers as well.
5 million have had to leave. Tens of thousands lost their lives. So keeping them in our prayers. But talking about fighting.
In the meantime, in America,
Republicans like to fight each other, apparently.
they like to fight, period. So I'm sure, as you all have heard, Kevin McCarthy elbowed Senator Tim Burchett
Hit him in his jaw.
in the solar plex. Now he elbowed him. From what we understand, he elbowed him. And Senator Tim Burchett said that he's been feeling pain. He did say that. He said that he's been feeling pain ever since. But all jokes aside, these are two 80-year-old men. They're probably not quite 80, but these
Two
are
men in their 90s.
two senior citizens fighting each other in the halls of
Well, apparently
of the
only
Senate.
one fighting.
Well, and then and just afterwards they asked McCarthy, did he do this? And he was like, no, I didn't do that. There were a lot of people around, and it just seemed like that. He said if he really did, that guy would be on the ground. He wouldn't have gotten up if he had really tried, if he had really elbowed him. So that goes to show you the people that we have elected
Come on, how y'all voting for them, man?
are
Come on.
in Washington, D.C. fighting each other. That's one incident, Kevin McCarthy.
But hold up, Kevin, this is why you were kicked out as Speaker of the House. I'm just letting you know. Because people know you like to fight. Elbowing a man.
I mean, this is...
Because you disagreed with him. And he was another Republican.
Yeah.
But
the Republicans are falling apart.
in addition to that, Bernie Sanders had to break up a fight.
Yeah.
And Bernie Sanders, I mean, good thing, what's his name, Senator Mullen listened to Bernie Mac. So Senator Markwayne Mullen wanted to fight the president, Sean O'Brien of the Teamsters. They're there in the Senate hearing, and Mullen was like, what's up? What's up? Step up. He stood up.
A former MMA fighter.
And was going to go fight in a
stood
Senate
up.
hearing.
You stand up. No, you stand up. No, you stand up. You do something. You want to do this right here? I mean, little kids.
Who's
These are
voting for these
elected
people, man?
officials.
Who's voting for these people?
I mean, these are grown men.
And Bernie Sanders had to say, hey, act like an adult. And I think he came to himself, Senator Mullen.
Now, afterwards in the interviews, he was still talking about, let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, I'm talking about right then, because after Bernie says, calm down, he did sit down. But I'm sure he wants to fight.
No, he gave an interview afterwards. He said he still.
I wonder what kind of record. You know what kind of record he had?
Nah, it's probably, nah. I'm guessing he's a wrestler. He looks more like a wrestling, grappling-based fighter.
Yeah, I doubt he's striking.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a striker. But, I don't know what his record is. Maybe we can find it in a minute. But he's calling out the president of the Teamsters. You know, in the past, the Teamsters, you don't really want to mess with the Teamsters.
We don't know if it's still like that. It might be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people in the Teamsters are pretty, I would say there may be some elements there, but, you know, you mess with the Teamsters, you might end up missing. You might end up in a barrel underneath Yankee Stadium or wherever it is that Jimmy Hoffa is supposed to be.
So Markwayne Mullen had an MMA record, professional, of 3-0.
Oh.
He won all his fights. None of them made it to the end. He won one fight, his last fight, TKO. The other two fights he won by armbar.
So I knew he was a wrestler. He's probably, that TKO was probably ground and pound.
Probably.
What did it say, what league he was in?
Extreme Fighting League.
Okay. So this guy is a fighter, so of course he jumps up. So I mean, when I look at it like that, it makes me think that this guy is a bully. If he's a trained fighter, and he's calling out people on the floor of.
Because it didn't look like. I mean, looks are deceiving, but it didn't look like the Teamster. Although he wasn't scared.
No, he
but I guess he probably knew it wasn't going to go down on the Senate floor.
Yeah, and being in the Teamsters, he may have had a few street fights himself. If it's like it used to be back in Hoffa's day, that movie, what was that movie with Jack Nicholson? They just fighting,
Yeah.
hitting baseball bats, knives. But these are grown adults that are leading this country.
But you think, even Marjorie Greene Taylor, who once said that Democrats, some prominent Democrats, need to be executed. I mean, that's what she said. These are people who are in D.C. voting, making laws, or we hope. But
there are people who think that if Donald Trump wins this election, that democracy in America will be over. I mean, there are people who believe that. I'm not sure if that's the case, but if Donald Trump does win, I know he's going to probably try to change the Constitution.
He's already said he's getting rid of the Constitution.
Yeah, so we're going to have. It's going to be a lot. The future of America is looking dim.
So who is out there then?
There's no one, because you have these two gangs called the Republicans and the Democrats who have a monopoly on who gets elected president. And because of that, the best candidate probably won't even run. The best person for president of the United States will probably not even enter the election because they can't get nominated by the two gangs that run D.C., the Democrats and the Republicans.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, it's going to be unless we have some kind of miracle that people are just tired and are looking for change. I mean, then it's possible, but we'll see. There are a lot of people who have filed in the Green Party to run for candidate, to run for president. The only name that I think most people would recognize is Jill Stein.
I thought Cornel West, you need in the Green Party?
I think he's independent.
Okay.
He's not listed as a Green Party candidate, at least in Ballotopedia.
So I don't think Jill has much of a shot. She has a name, but
how much does Cornel West have?
He has a name, but I don't think people take him serious as a president. I mean, he's a scholar.
Yeah, he's an intellectual, but he's passionate.
Yeah,
he's passionate about what he believes in. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to Donald Trump, because I'm pretty sure he's going to win.
Yeah.
Although what's her name is creeping up, but I don't think you still don't think she has a shot.
No, she has no shot. It's Donald Trump. We already know the Republican nominee. It's Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Unless Donald Trump, it doesn't matter what he does. There's nothing that man can do to discourage people from voting for him. He is loved that much. And that's why Joe Biden's going to have a tough time beating him, because Joe Biden supporters don't love him like Donald Trump supporters love him.
That's a good point. I mean, the people who support, I think there are some that love it. He doesn't have, even Bernie Sanders, even though Bernie didn't win, the people who followed him loved him.
Yeah, they love him.
Loved him. Joe Biden, although, a lot of people support him, he doesn't have that love. And Donald Trump's, you already see those booths around town for 2024, at least out where I live. They love him. And so they love him because they believe that he tells the truth that no one else tells. And I know Democrats hear that and say, oh, he doesn't tell the truth. Okay. I'm just telling you why people think follow him, because they believe he's telling the truth. When he said, and Dave Chappelle pointed out, when he said, everything you think we're doing, we are doing. When he said that, he won millions of people.
Yeah.
Millions of people when he said that.
Of course, there are a lot of people who think the government is doing a lot of shady stuff. They're doing a lot of stuff that the American people would disapprove of if they knew about it. And for somebody just getting and saying, we're doing all that. Okay, well, you just validated a lot of people's opinions. And so this guy must be telling the truth. No other politician is going to say that. No other politician is going to say about the aliens and just straight up, yeah, we have aliens. We know there's aliens.
Boy, Swami's trying.
Yeah,
he's trying to be like Trump. I mean, that's all he is. So I want to say to him, he's a big supporter of the show. You're not going to win because all you're doing is trying to be like Donald Trump.
Yeah, you're a joke, man. You are a joke.
You're just trying to be like him.
I wouldn't believe anything that comes out of his mouth.
Why would anybody vote for you when you're just Donald Trump 2.0? If that. At least that's what he wants to be. That's his goal in life, to be that. And but did you see any of the debate when they were just going at it with each other, talking about
just some highlights?
Your boy from Florida wears shoe lifts.
Ron DeSantis.
I don't know how tall he is, but I think maybe it's Jill Stein, and then Swami started talking about Jill Stein because her daughter's on Instagram.
No, not Jill Stein. It's,
not Jill. What's the Republican lady?
Yeah. Doesn't matter. I'm not voting for her.
It doesn't matter because she's not going to win anyway.
It'll come. Yeah. See.
But that's what's going on. So you look at how violent it is in this country. With in the cities, murder rates about to be broken, or in Kansas City, in Memphis last night, I think they just broke their homicide record
of all time.
Yeah, and Kansas City is on that way. So when you look at all the violence, I mean, you can say, well, all we're doing is just doing what the leaders of this country do. They fight each other. I don't know. I mean, it's a terrible example. But that's what we have. Let's move on. So today we're going to look at the top 5 controversies / scandals in hip hop.
In lieu of
Puffy,
Sean, Puffy, P. Diddy Combs, who we've been hearing who, for those that don't know,
Nikki Haley. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Nikki Haley,
hip hop producer, rapper. Mogul, billionaire, Sean Combs was accused of rape, torture, amongst other things, from his ex-girlfriend, pop star Cassie. And I think a day after she filed this, it was settled out of court, which says a lot about Puffy.
Well, it says...
No, it says a lot.
Okay, Okay. Well, you tell me what you think it says, because to me it can say a few things. It's 1, he was guilty.
Yes.
2, he just didn't want to drag it out.
Yes.
And spend all that money.
Both of those.
I mean, yeah, those.
And for those that don't know, people in hip hop have been hearing rumors about Puffy for years.
Yeah, it's nothing new.
About all the scandalous stuff that he's doing.
Sort of the same way we knew about what Keefe D's involvement with the killing of Tupac for years.
Yeah. So this coming out, and I think a lot of people are expecting a lot more things to come out about Puffy over the next couple of weeks, months. Some people believe he gave all of his artists their publishing back. And a lot of them didn't take it because they said it was worthless now, which it, pretty much is. But he also, the ones that did take it, he made them sign an NDA, so they couldn't talk about it, because I think he knew that a lot of this was coming up, and I expect more to come out. I don't know if any of it's true, but just for the fact that we've been hearing for years Puffy's behavior, I expect more to come out.
So, I mean, yeah, you can look at some others. So just like we've heard, there have been rumors of this with Puffy for years. The same was true with Bill Cosby, too.
Yes.
I mean, everybody in Hollywood, that was the best kept secret in Hollywood, our worst kept secret. I mean, people have been talking about that for years.
Harvey Weinstein as well, for
all
years.
Of those.
I mean, there was a Seth MacFarlane from Family Guy. He came out and made a statement years before Weinstein was even... came to the light. All that came to the light. So people know about it. And this Puffy, people have heard years and years.
But some of the stuff is wild.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, and I don't want to talk about it until it comes out. Some of the speculation, but his treatment of women is one of them, and his abuse of women is one of them. His abuse of men is something that we've heard too, but that we'll see if that comes out. Now, so Cassie also filed that she had dated Kid Cudi for a while, another rapper, and Puffy blew up his car. Now, Kid Cudi acknowledged that his car was blown up. He didn't say who did it, but he acknowledged, yeah, my car was blown up. So,
but you remember he fought somebody on the set of, I think, one of Nas's videos because he didn't like.
It was Steve Stout. He beat up Steve Stout with a champagne bottle, cracked a champagne bottle over his head because he didn't like the way he was portrayed after he talked to his pastor. It was after he talked to his pastor.
Told him to be there.
Because remember they were on the cross like Jesus. Yeah. And then afterward he talked to his pastor. His pastor like, no, I don't think you should do that. And he told him to take it out, and they didn't take it out. And so he went over there and smacked him around with the champagne bottle. Not to mention what happened with Shine, one of his rap artists who went to prison for years, standing up for helping Puffy, protecting him, and Puffy ratted him out in court. But anyway, in lieu of all that, we decided to do the top 5 controversial things in hip hop, top 5 scandals in hip hop.
Just one other thing. So, and Puffy was arrested for fighting his son's coach at USC too.
Yeah.
So
his son's football coach.
Yeah, none of this is hard to believe. All right. So, biggest scandals, controversies in hip hop. This was a tough one to do. I'll start with number 5. And I'm going to call this a controversy because it just said a lot about the music industry. It was 2014 when Macklemore and Ryan Lewis won Best Rap Album over Kendrick Lamar.
That was crazy.
Because, and even they came out and said, yeah, maybe we need a hip hop category. Because that's what it was. I mean, I don't want to beat up on Macklemore and Ryan Lewis because they're just doing the music that they do. But to call that rap and hip, I mean,
they rhyme, but
yeah, I mean, it's
kind of more of a poppy feel.
But that just says, the Grammys, they don't really know what they're doing.
The Grammys are a joke anyway.
I mean, they waited, 25 years before Nas got it. I mean, and look at all of the great hip hop artists that don't have any Grammys. It doesn't make any sense.
Tribe Called Quest, we can go on.
Yeah. So that.
Rakim.
Number 4, I have Diddy and all of his controversy.
All of his scandals.
From the USC coach, from the fighting Steve Stout to the
Shine.
Even Kim Porter.
Kim Porter stuff.
And then, of course, with the new stuff. He seems to, find a lot of controversy.
And there's some more stuff we're not even mentioning yet that it's something that we don't want. You don't spread this rumor unless you have more facts. But it's a big long running rumor.
Yeah. So number 3, I have NWA's F the Police. When that came out, it really shook up a lot of things, a lot of people.
FBI wrote a letter to NWA after they made the song F the Police.
That's serious when the FBI is looking at you and you're a musical artist. But what the FBI and the media failed to understand as they were bashing them, all it did was help them sell more records.
Blew them up.
That's all it did. They went to several cities, including Kansas City back in the day, and they were told that they could not perform that song, one of their biggest hits. Now, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, it's not that big a
because
deal.
The rest of the world has been exposed to some of the police brutality that the black community has experienced for a long time. Number 2 is banned in the U.S. The 2 Live Crew was the first hip-hop group to have that explicit parental advisory label placed on them. It was a matter of free speech. Whether you like the 2 Live Crew or not, whether all the stuff that they talk about, I understand. But what Luke and they were saying is it's all free speech. We weren't the first ones to say or do this, but we're banned. I think Tretch in the song Uptown Anthem, he says cursing wasn't nothing until a black man rapped. That's when people started jumping up and shaking and going crazy over it. Again, whether you like them or not, it was controversial because they were the first hip hop group to have that label placed on their CD. Number one, the biggest controversy, I would say, is the whole East Coast versus West Coast, which was really just something that the hip hop magazines promoted. There was a beef or tension between Bad Boy and Death Row, but magazines like The Source and others started calling the East Coast West Coast, which then brought everybody else. I mean, not everybody was beefing, but it brought everybody's attention to it when it wasn't an entire coast or coasts after each other. It was just 2 groups, and it wasn't even everybody in those Bad Boy and Death Row. But of course, that led and ended up where kind of, Tupac was killed, although he was killed, we believe, over something else. But then Biggie was killed. Now, so we talk about Tupac was killed because he got into that fight at the Mike Tyson fight, but we're talking about Puffy. I mean, Keefe D did say that Puffy was willing to pay.
He didn't say Puffy was willing to pay. He said Puffy did pay.
That's the accusation, that Puffy paid to have Tupac killed.
All right, so number 5 for me, Tory Lanez shooting Meg the Stallion, which recently happened. Tory Lanez, a rapper, I think from Canada, shot Meg the Stallion, one of the biggest female rappers in the world, recently, and he's doing, I think, 9 or 10 years in prison for that. So number 4, I have Eazy-E dies from AIDS. He died from AIDS early 1990s. It was a big deal in hip hop because he was the first person to die from AIDS in the rap community. And at that time, most people thought it was just a homosexual.
We didn't know about it, so it was still strange.
So yeah, it was kind of a big deal. So
not to mention Eazy-E spent a lot of time in Kansas City.
Jam Master Jay murder, number 3. Jam Master Jay, the DJ for Run DMC, the pioneer rap group, was killed in the studio. Years later, we find out it was his cousin that did the murder. I think they just found that out this year. He was arrested this year. It's been over 20 years since he was murdered in the studio, but his cousin murdered him over some money.
Got to be money.
Yeah, it was over money. So one of the biggest rap groups, most important rap groups ever, DJ was killed. Jam Master Jay, that's number 3. Number 2, I have Tupac rape charges. Tupac was arrested on, it wasn't actually rape charges. People just say it was rape charges. It was sexual assault, I believe, that he was convicted of. He went to prison for supposedly sexually harassed and sexually abusing a woman. Most people do not believe that it happened. It was a bunch of other guys there, and I think Tupac just took the downfall for it. But like I said, most people with the evidence and things that have come afterwards don't believe that he did that. But yet and still, that was one of the biggest scandals. Number 1, I put together Tupac and Biggie's murder, 2 of the most influential, famous hip-hop artists of all time, both murdered shortly after Biggie was murdered, I think 6 or 8 months after Tupac. Biggie's murder still unsolved. Tupac's murder was just solved, even though most people, we already knew what happened. So I think that's still probably the biggest scandal in hip hop. Those two.
Well,
murders.
even Biggie's doesn't have all the evidence that Tupac murder had leading up, but I mean, there's pretty strong evidence. People say it was some off-duty LA
off-duty
police
officers,
officers that worked for Death Row.
Right.
That's been out there for years, because Death Row did have ex-police officers and some off-duty police officers serving as their bodyguards.
Yep.
But let me throw this out there. What do you think? I have this as an honorable mention. When the news came out that Drake doesn't write his own lyrics.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that in the top
No,
5 scandals, but yeah,
it was big. For those who don't know, I mean, in hip hop, it's one of those art forms where you are expected to write your own stuff.
in other genres. Most people don't write their own lyrics. They they have writers, producers, but in hip hop, you have to write your own music.
You can be scorned for not writing your own song. So it came out, and he later admit that his songs are collaborations. But a lot of people, a lot of hip hop heads talked about that, saying, some people even say Drake can't be in the top rappers because he doesn't do his own lyrics. I'm not sure if that's the case. It depends on what your criteria is. But any other honorable mention controversies or scandals? We didn't bring up Russell Simmons.
Yeah, Russell Simmons is living in Bali right now because of rape accusations. Well,
Sexual assault.
I don't know if he's living in Bali, but Bali, there's no extradition in Bali. He says he didn't move there because of the accusations, but he was planning to move there anyway because he liked it. But there's rape allegations from him. Then you have Tupac allegedly sleeping with Biggie's wife at the time, right in the middle of their beef, which was a big scandal at the time. There's been a few scandals in hip hop, but yeah, those were our top 5.
Top 5. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about all of the subjects we talked about and what you would like to hear us talk about. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chopping It Up with the Cleavers. Check us out most places you get your podcasts.
Peace. Till next time.